Sharkie Gamer here. So today we're taking a look at the Gamester Pro Racer controller for the original Xbox. And this is basically a handheld steering wheel controller, and it's actually branded by Lotus. So taking a look at the box here, it says Pro Racer, the official Lotus handheld steering wheel, designed in association with Lotus Engineering. Moving down, you got a cool image there of the actual controller. And at the bottom here it says officially licensed for Xbox. Now that is the original Xbox. Up the top you've got the Lotus logo, and you've got a cool image there of a Lotus car, and it says a compact, officially licensed wheel, extreme handheld racing control. So the top of the box is pretty plain, it's got the same sort of stuff, same with the sides. Moving on to the back, you got a lot of information here, all in different languages. The English just here, get this in focus. It basically says non-slip grips for non-stop action, non-stop racing, features 6 analog action buttons and 2 trigger buttons, fast steering response for ultimate control, 2 vibration motors for powerful feedback. And that's pretty much the only section in English, everything else is in different languages. Let's go ahead and open this up now and take a closer look at this wheel. So first up, you get a little bit of a manual here, and again it's got the Lotus kind of branding. Going into it, it gives you a bit of history of Lotus. Shows some images of the Lotus cars. And then it sort of goes into more features about the actual controller, sort of telling you what is what, and then it goes into different languages. So first up, you got a decent length of cable here, and it's got that original Xbox connection on the end, and it's also the breakaway design, so this can actually pull off, just like most Xbox cables. Moving on to the controller. Now it's pretty small in size. First up, you've got these really nice kind of soft kind of rubber grips. They really are nice and smooth and soft. They feel really nice to hold. So when you're holding it, it really does feel really nice. Of course, there's a Lotus branding just there. Moving into functions just here. First up, you've got the Lotus logo in the center there. You've got a start button, back button. And up here you've got a small little D-pad, and it's pretty small. Then up here you've got your white and black buttons. Let's try to get a better look at that. There we go. So you got your white button and your black button. And up here you've got your A, B, and X and Y buttons. And all the buttons feel quite nice. They feel like pretty much standard buttons. Very responsive. Easy to press. And what you notice with these top 2 buttons as well, is they are on a slight little angle because they curve with the wheel. So these ones do feel a little bit different, but they're still very responsive. You can just feel that they're actually going more this way, because they've actually designed them along the surface of the actual wheel. So all the buttons feel quite nice to reach. These buttons are obviously a bit more firmer because you don't press them as often, you're starting back. And your D-pad, it is small, it's not really fantastic, it is very essentially just a basic D-pad, just there in case you need a D-pad for some reason. It's pretty firm, you got to press pretty hard to actually get it to respond. And it's a lot smaller than your standard D-pad. Now on the back of this controller you've got 2 triggers. And these of course you can use for accelerate and brake when you're playing racing games. And these feel really nice. These are really nice triggers. Really responsive, really smooth to move. They feel really nice. Just really nice feeling triggers. Now, let's go on to the racing portion of this controller. So this is basically a handheld steering wheel. So where is the steering function? Well, it's actually built into the handles of the controller. So when you're holding this, you're getting the triggers with these hands. You're reaching everything else with your thumbs. And then you steer by just doing this. And now this action is very smooth. It feels really nice to actually steer with this thing. Just a really smooth action. And of course you'll be pressing these ones, or pressing these depending on the game, depending what you need to actually trigger. But you can reach everything. These top buttons are a little bit of a stretch, but you're going to have your hands just a little bit higher, and then you can reach them a bit more easier. So if you had a game that will use them more, you could just put your hands up a little bit higher, and still reach the triggers fine. And again, this is basically meant so that it's a bit more compact than, say, a full-sized wheel. So say if you didn't have enough space to buy a full-size type of full racing wheel with full pedals and everything, then this something is an alternative, because it's not as just basic as a gamepad, because, you know, you don't race a car with using a gamepad, you race it with a steering wheel. So why not combine a wheel and a gamepad together, so it's a bit more portable than a full-sized wheel. And it is definitely more compact. I mean, you have no excuse with this thing. You definitely have space to have a racing wheel. This thing is just really small, so it won't take up much space at all. And the benefit is you can enjoy playing racing games with this thing rather than use a gamepad or have to worry about space for a larger wheel. And now again, with these kind of Pro Racer controllers, because there's Pro Racers for GameCube, there's Pro Racers for PlayStation 2, and I've done all the reviews of those on my channel. In comparison to those, it's different again, like the design of it, the shape of it. I really like how Gamester went to that trouble of designing different shaped ones for each console, and that way they're not just all the same type of controller, they're not just reshaped, repurposed for the next console, next system. They've actually taken a little bit of time and designed one for each system, which makes it cool, especially if you've got, say, a PlayStation 2 and original Xbox, and you want a racing controller for both, but you want a handheld racing controller. Then of course you can buy the PS2 version as well as the Xbox version and have two completely different controllers, but they work in the same fashion. So again, it's really nice to do that. Now, with using this with games, with function, I have to say, because I've actually tried all the Pro Racing controllers, and this one has to be the nicest feeling one that I've used. The racing motion is the smoothest out of all of them. It moves so nicely. It feels awesome to steer with this thing. It really does. It's so nice and smooth. The grip is so nice to hold as well. Really nice grip, really nice and soft and very comfortable. And these triggers feel amazing as well. So overall, in terms of actual function, this thing is the best feeling Pro Racer that they've made. I guess the only down point you could really tell about it is the D-pad could be improved, because that is really firm. So the D-pad's very firm, and that could use a little bit of improvement. So that's probably the main down point of this controller, is the D-pad is not that good. But everything else is pretty right. I mean, the buttons feel right to press, very responsive again. But like I said, the pure delight comes from using those triggers and actually using that steering mechanism. So it really does feel nice. And the controller is really comfortable to hold as well. And the good thing about these things is they're not too hard to find. You pick them up quite easily, and these things are really cheap. I mean, I bought this one. It came complete with its, obviously, the controller, the manual, and the box. I bought this for like £2 from the UK. So, really, it's really affordable. Anyone can afford it at that price. And you can pick them up for brand new for like £5. So, they're really easy to find, really good price. And if you still have an original Xbox and you still like playing racing games on your original Xbox, then this thing is pretty cool to use, especially if you don't want a full-sized wheel. And I'd really easily recommend it because it does feel really nice to use. And of course, I guess if you're a Lotus fan or collector, then I guess this must be in your Lotus collection as well, because it is Lotus branded as well. I think that's where the kind of soft grips come from as well. They were trying to maybe replicate the feel of maybe a Lotus wheel, having really nice and soft kind of grips, maybe make it feel more like a luxurious sports car or something. So you guys, that was the Gamester Pro Racer controller for the original Xbox. A pretty cool racing controller that works really well, and it feels really nice to use. So you guys, thanks for watching. I am Sharkie Gamer. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have heaps more gaming controller and accessory reviews up very shortly. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you want to, and if you like this video, hit that like button. Really helps out a lot, guys. Thanks for watching.